It is a touchy one for businesses because for most businesses in the past and present as well, they tend to look at what is the most profitable thing we can do for organization to keep it alive. And a lot of times we're looking at how do we, you know, mitigate certain risks? How do we reduce our costs, especially if you're coming from a finance perspective, or you might be looking from a sales perspective. How do we, improve our growth in our sales and what we're trying to put out there from a services perspective? And a lot of companies don't tend to think about, how the decisions that we make, how does it impact the employees from a financial well-being perspective? And that's not really a priority of ours because our focus is generally towards income statement, balance sheets. How does it affect? Is this the right decision financially for us? When in fact, there's a big part of an income statement that we tend to overlook, and it tends to be the largest expense on an income statement, which is salaries and wages. So companies, in my experience, tend to focus a lot on, how do we reduce certain costs? How do we make certain that we have certain tools, maybe more efficient? When in fact, looking at the employee and how do we get the best out of the employee has very positive repercussions for our business. It means that we are able to retain talent, we are able to attract talent to our business, and companies tend to overlook this. So why do we do that? And how can we change it? So from my point of view, it is so important that we understand the situation that our society that we employ from finds themselves in. We are a heavily indebted country where the majority of employees and majority of people living in our society, live from either paycheck to paycheck, or if they're living on social grants, they're living from 1 month to the other. And it is important for us as an organization to make certain that we bring our employees on the journey that we're trying to drive our organization in. And financial well-being is absolutely critical because most of the decisions that our employees are making on the day-to-day basis is around is it financially viable for me to take the bus or take a taxi? Is it financially viable for me to be able to make sure that my kid goes to a good school? And it is important for us because if we don't think about those, we invest a lot in the talent that we put into our organization. And if we don't think about the financial well-being of our employees, inevitably that employee will leave us with the talent that we've provided. And talent that we provide to somebody and skills that we provide inevitably comes at a massive cost to an organization. And if we think about that, inevitably we develop our employees to become assets within our organization. And when they're assets, indirectly they're driving revenue towards our business. And by doing so, we can think more strategically about growth or other products we maybe want to offer, or how, because of that employee, we are able to attract other and leverage of that employee to attract other employees to our organization. So it is important that we strategically think about the financial wellness of employees, because the decisions they inevitably make is based on the financial well-being that they find themselves in. So going forward, it is important to address these things, to understand, listen, is this employee somebody worth keeping? Because they have attracted potentially customers to us. We have potentially retained customers as well because of that employee. And do we think about those things as well? Because it has a massive impact in our business if that employee leaves and takes the customer with him. If that employee leaves and the sentiment in the market deteriorates because that employee leaves. So we as business leaders need to think about, you know, how we manage our costs within our organization, how we grow our business in a strategic manner, but also very, very important is to think about, you know, is this employee financially well off enough to stay with us, to give their heart and soul to the organization because they spend so much of their day with us. And going forward, it is really something that is impactful to an organization when you have those thoughts, those strategic plans in place about your employees' financial wellness.